We have a shocking New York Mets trade update to go over today, as a report has revealed that the New York Mets are the favorites for the reigning Cy Young in the American League, and this is absolutely huge, specifically when you look at this Mets pitching rotation, and though they have a future superstar on the mound already as their ace, adding another top-tier pitcher really is what changes the Mets from a decent pitching rotation to an absolutely excellent one. And now we have seen that the Mets have officially been named the favorites for none other than the best, arguably the best in the business, at least a top 2 pitcher in Tarik Skubal. We're going to go over this report, discuss exactly how the Mets became the favorite, what a trade would look like, and also much more surrounding this, guys. But real quick, if you are part of Tarik Skubal's baseball hat, nope, if you're part of that 73% that's not subscribed to Mets Digest, make sure to go ahead and subscribe so you can stay up to date with everything surrounding the New York Mets. Every single day we got videos coming out for you breaking down it all, so you know everything about the Mets in these 8 to 12 minute videos. But guys, let's jump into it, because there is a lot to go over on the Mets right now, because as we know, there's been a ton of talk surrounding Tarik Skubal and his future within the Detroit Tigers organization. Obviously, he's won back-to-back Cy Youngs, 2 awards that he has vehemently deserved, and honestly, Tarik Skubal has as good of argument as anyone as the best pitcher in the MLB. Personally, I would give it to Paul Skeens, but Skubal is easily second. The man is an absolute dynamite pitcher who is dominant, and he's one of the biggest reasons why the Tigers make the playoffs, because every time Skubal steps on the mound, teams can effectively chalk it up to a loss. It's just how good Skubal is. But now, with 1 year remaining on his contract and there not being a ton of traction between Detroit and Skubal for that final deal, or for that big contract extension, they have definitely entertained some ideas of trading Skubal for a massive package surrounded with a ton of prospects, so they could start to rebuild their team, as they understand that they won't be able to pay Skubal the amounts that other teams would be willing to. Now, a report from John Heyman did discuss exactly the teams that fit, and he said the Mets are certainly interested in Skubal. I would put them and the Dodgers as the most logical spots. With that information right there, what we see is that Tarik Skubal and the New York Mets definitely have traction. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I do think Skubal's next team is ultimately going to be the Mets. The Mets are just in too perfect position to go for Skubal that it wouldn't even make sense not to. Guys like Brandon Sproat and Jonah Tong instantly become trade chips for a Mets team that wouldn't necessarily need them to be pitchers instantly. Look, just to be very clear, Nolan McLean is safe. McLean is not getting traded for Skubal. I think we could all sort of figure that one out. The Tigers will probably ask for him, and the Mets will shut it down, because the way McLean has started his career and because he is viewed as their top arm right now. Going into this season, McLean's certainly the ace of this team, so there is a lot to think about with this. But Skubal, the man's phenomenal. 13-6 win-loss record with a 6.5 WAR last season, had a 2.21 ERA, 31 starts, and struck out 241 batters and 195.1 innings pitched. Not only is he an absolute strikeout machine with a whip under .9, with a .891 whip, he also absolutely is a workhorse. You could put Tarik Skubal out there and he will deal all night if you need him to. Skubal can go into 8 innings very easily. He can workhorse it. He's a big guy, 6'3", 240 pounds. He's got a lot of power in those pitches, can mix you up, and also, again, is just one of the best talents in baseball right now, pitcher or otherwise. So Skubal right now gives the Mets that elite pitcher that they would need, and who would set them up for an absolute great season. Now, Skubal, I mean, across the board, when we look at his baseball savant numbers, he's excellent at everything. The only thing that he's not excellent at in overall value is base running, bunting run value, which, not a big deal. But at the same time, what we see is he's excellent everywhere. Across the board, the metrics are great. The only thing that is not perfect is the barrel percentage. He will walk a guy here and there. And also, I mean, really, when we look at Skubal in general, he's just someone who is straight up phenomenal. And I also can't believe I called breaking run value bunting value. That's what you get when you don't sleep the night prior and you're very sick right now. I don't sound like it because I'm full of cough medicine, baby. But his extension is not great, but who really cares? You don't need to change anything about Tarik Skubal's game. The man is absolutely a phenomenal pitcher. I'm a huge fan of Skubal's game. He's always a joy to watch. He mixes people up, can hit you with a breaking ball once in a while, but he is going to throw that speed ball right by you and make you look like a fool. So when you look at a guy like Skubal, I'm trying not to keep saying the lyrics to that song. When you look at Skubal, he's someone who wants to be a Tiger. It's very clear he likes being there, as he went on a PR tour in Detroit just a week ago, and now his Instagram post has just shown how much he loves it there, saying Detroit versus everybody. A few different pictures, him at a Pistons game with Cade Cunningham right there. He got all over the place, was hanging out with Bob Seger, as you can see in the bottom left corner. Bob Seger, absolute rock legend. So we know that Skubal's happy where he is. The problem is, he's going to take the money and run, because the Mets, they could pay him so much money, and they would. Now, Skubal did announce that he will play for Team USA in the 2026 World Baseball Classic. He joins a team that already has Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, Cal Raleigh, and Bobby Witt Jr., amongst others. America lost to Japan in the most recent WBC in 2023 and is looking to avenge its loss in the championship. So they're bringing out the literal team of Avengers right here for the World Baseball Classic in 2026. So Skubal's going to have a lot of work to do in the year 2026, and right now he's going to get to really mingle with a bunch of the top talent in the MLB. If you don't think Aaron Judge, when he's talking to Tarik Skubal, is going to be nudging him and be like, hey man, we got Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, we got Max Fried, want to join an elite pitching rotation. So that's something that we have to be aware of. And that's just one example off the top of the head. I mean, the Mariners don't really pay people like that. Neither do the Royals, and neither do the Pirates, who are the names there. But also, any star player who is on a big market team will be looking at Skubal like, hey man, so what are you thinking? Where do you want to go? And that is going to be a big deal. So the Mets, they certainly should get on this as soon as possible, because I know it's a lot to go for a guy who's on a one-year deal, but the Mets can pay and will pay their superstars a ton of money, and Skubal would be no different in that area. Skubal is also that good. The lowest ERA in their last 100 starts is Jacob deGrom. Quick moment of respect for Jacob deGrom, of course. Tarik Skubal at a 2.66, Blake Snell, who's at a 2.76, Brendan Woodruff, Max Fried, Zach Wheeler, Shane Bieber, and Shohei Ohtani round out that group of the active MLB pitchers in their last 100 starts. Skubal is right up there with, I mean, when at his best, maybe the most dominant arm that baseball's seen, and I mean, you could really put him in any generation, and Jacob deGrom at his best with the Mets was just an absolute danger. And I mean, he's still great on the Rangers, too, no doubt about it. So we look at Skubal, we understand he's that good. He gives the Mets that elite arm that is going to win you a playoff game as long as he pitches, which is so valuable. He also gives the Mets basically a guaranteed win. And you mix, I mean, Skubal, you mix, if David Peterson can get back to his all-star self, if you can get Kodai Senga back to his all-star self, I mean, if you can go out there and get Tatsuya Amai, which feels very doable considering Amai said apparently there actually aren't many concrete options on the table yet, and it seems that having teams show interest and receiving a formal offer are two completely different things. So the Mets also could be able to sign Amai, add Skubal, and all of a sudden, a pitching rotation that you have to ask yourself a bunch of questions about now turns into a pitching rotation that other opponents are going to have nightmares about. Because you look at it right now, Nolan McClain is great, but he's only pitched 48 innings, so we want a bigger sample size, but we know how great he is. David Peterson was an all-star for a reason this season. If he could get back to that, that'd be huge. Clay Holmes is a fine arm later in the rotation. Sean Manaea, you know the deal there. It's not ideal. And then Kodai Senga, who, if he could bounce back, is an absolutely great pitcher. All of a sudden, the Mets can light the world up with a pitching rotation. It would take a lot to do, and ultimately, with all the top prospects the Mets would give up, it would be hard. I mean, Sproat would go, likely Tong would go, Jet Williams is probably also in there. It's going to be a lot, but that's the market price for Tarik Skubal. Now, Danny Abriano did say, been seeing a lot of the Tigers would be crazy to trade Tarik Skubal takes. I think it'd be crazy to not trade him, as he's not re-signing. You could get a massive haul, and with that haul and other pieces added this offseason, you can contend right away, which he's not wrong about. So there is a lot of thought to this after all, and for the Mets, there's not that much thought to it. You go out there and you trade those prospects. The Mets have a great farm system. They'll get more people. You go out there and you acquire Tarik Skubal. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a wonderful day, guys. I'll catch you later.